main stream. Okay, start recording. Yes. So, stream data is coming in. Yes. Okay, so that should start streaming. All right, so welcome everyone to the February 11th, 2026 Apple CIDER General Meeting and live stream. Live stream says it started. If I unmute, and audio is getting into it. Everyone say hi so I can make sure the audio is making it to YouTube.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. Hello.
All right. And Dr. Doom, is that Robert Downey Jr.? Okay. Hang on just a second while we're echoing back. Okay, that worked. All right. And now I gotta get back to this page. All right, so we're streaming. Welcome. Let's start with news. Probably the biggest news of the, and I gotta hit a different button. Share. Quarterly results. Apple's quarterly results, all-time record revenue for a fourth quarter. So the quarter ending with Christmas, that's always a big quarter. Jason and Dan did a podcast about it as well. But Apple made $143 billion in the quarter, which is just ridiculous to think of. Basically more than $1 billion a day, pushing $2 billion a day in revenue, spurred by the new iPhone 17 lineup. So iPhone is still well over half of their revenue. Services is next biggest. Wearables, so wearables, home, and audio. So like the AirPods, the HomePods, things like that count to the wearables category. And then services is iCloud and Apple Music and Apple TV and Apple Fitness and all those services. Mac revenue, $8 billion for the quarter. People often point out that after each quarter's revenue is announced, virtually all of Apple's product lines would be a Fortune 500, if not a Fortune 100 company all by itself. $8 billion in a quarter in revenue, which strangely was down 7% year over year. And so holy crap, there's a giant spider in front of me. The camera can't see it. You go away. You can eat the other bugs, but so I'm not going to squish you. So the new MacBook Pro M5 came out, but a lot of apparently people are waiting for the M5 Pro and M5 Max chips, which we expect to come out likely in March this spring. Possibly the iPad Air might go up to the M5 plane as well. So even at $8 billion, that was down for the quarter. iPad revenue, $8.6 billion, was up 6%. Total profit was way up. So products, you can see that fourth quarter, first, second, third, fourth quarter. The Christmas quarter is always the biggest quarter. And then there's a bump in the third quarter because that's when the new phones come out. So iPhone revenue, 86 billion, up 23%. So people have been apparently were waiting to buy a new phone. Services revenue at 30 billion, up 15%. And then Apple's gross margin is 48%. That's a very misleading figure, and I've always wondered why they um, publicize it. So gross margin mean they sell a computer for $1,000. It costs them $500 to build, but it cost them $100 billion to design to get so they could build it for $500. So it's a gross margin because it seems grossly high basically, and apparently it is one of the highest gross margins of any company in any industry. Let's see, wearables we're actually down a little.
I'm told that at shopping centers, the only retail outlet that has higher per square foot revenue than Apple is Tiffany's.
Yeah, and I remember reading in a few quarters that Apple beat them for a couple of quarters here and there, now and then. Let's see, product line. So as expected, most of the revenue is in the Americas um, versus Europe, China. So they break out China, Japan, and then everybody else in Asia Pacific. They
Does
always
it indicate the impact of tariffs on that statistic?
um, not specifically, but what it does show is that growth in China jumped 38%. So more people in China were buying iPhones. In fact, since the previous quarter was minus 4%, it's actually 42% higher than the previous quarter, if my math works that way. um, so the tariffs, we haven't seen a rise in prices in Apple products. Um, there might be something down here in one of the other um, uh, messages. Let me.
Well, I think Tim Cook wangled some special treatment, but I wasn't sure how extensive that was.
Well, yeah. So he. There have been a lot of criticism of Tim for sucking up to Trump, giving him that gold bar and the gold mined in Utah and glass made in Kentucky, um, and went to um, what was the last big mess? Some big state dinner he had. But you got to play the game. Otherwise, they could get that 100%, 150% tariff slapped on them, and suddenly your iPhones would cost twice as much. So you kind of can't fault them for doing that. But one of the things we've heard about tariffs. Let me see if I can find on this page. Is tariff 1R and 2Fs or 2R and
Yeah.
1F? Yeah, 1R and 2Fs. Um, all right, so Tim has said they are. Yeah, so their policies are going to assume global tariff rates will increase, and so there were questions from the audience on what tariffs are, and most of the answers he gave. So this is a quarterly earnings call about reports to the SEC. So everything they have to say has to be really, really, really true, or they get shut down by the SEC. So they can't lie, but they can kind of fudge it. And so they're going. Tim says, "Yeah, we're going to continue to do our own stuff." Um, yeah, and then I just looped back around about the tariffs. Charlie, you had a question?
Yeah. I've been following us on the YouTube feed. I can hear you. You're not very loud, but when Douglas made comments or questions, I did not hear him at all. So participants may not be coming through.
Charlie, you had a question? Okay.
I could speak closer to the
Uh,
microphone.
nope.
That
It's
would be preferable.
it's not
Does this sound better?
it's not you.
Oh,
It's me.
Douglas, I think you're fine. I oh, think it's with the way they
No, there's something wrong in the Logi and headphones. So I'm on the aggregate device. It was working earlier. Nothing changed. Did it?
See, Rick, are you following on YouTube yet or not?
Not yet, but I can go down and do that if you'd like me to.
If you would, please, because I never know with YouTube if there's a problem is between computer and keyboard or.
Okay. I'll check back with you.
Thank you.
So test, test, test. I can see the VU meter here. Test. No, nothing there. If I change the output here to multi-output aggregate, and up here multi-output aggregate. Test, test, test. All right. Can you?
All right, Steve, I'm hearing you, but you're very faint.
Okay, and I'm now getting audio in the YouTube stream. So multi-output aggregate. I got all my multi-outputs set to the same thing, and I'm getting the.
Steve, I'm hearing you, but you're very faint.
Okay.
Okay, Steve, I just heard myself,
Yeah,
my comment.
that was my back and forth. So now I've got my other computer muted. I'm seeing the VU come out on me and on the YouTube stream, so it should be working now. Again.
Well, I'll say something just so I can see if I can hear myself.
Yeah. So then I saw the VU meter bounce, so it should be sending it into YouTube. Okay.
So now, come on here. Now, Steve, I'm plenty loud, but you're not very loud.
Yeah, I can't turn myself up any higher. Ooh. Aggregate has no
Well,
controls. USB, can I just... Oh, maybe is this needs to go higher? Or is that just the out? That's output. So my input volume is as high as it can be. Test, test, test. I've got that raised up all the way. And do I need down mixing? No, no down mixing. It's one channel. So I can turn everyone else down lower so we match. Then you
this
turn,
is a possibility.
yeah, then
I don't know.
you can turn the volume up on your computer.
Um, we'll see if what Rick comes up with in a few minutes.
Yeah. All right. All right. So Apple had a hell of a quarter. We'll see what happens first quarter. See if they can keep up to it. But first quarter is usually a dip because everyone already bought everything last month. Yeah, so there's revenue. So so Apple has. Let me see. Is this their recommendation? Yeah. So they're expecting $109 billion this quarter. So they expect to go down, but it's going to be significantly higher than any previous second quarter, which looks really good. So if you were able to buy stock when it was cheap, that's a good. But as soon as you decide to sell and it keeps going higher and higher and higher, that gets annoying. Alrighty, let me go to this tab. Apple did announce a new product so far this year, the new AirTag 2. Um, supports precision finding, so it has an ultra-wide chip in it, which gives it a longer Bluetooth range and a louder speaker if you're trying to find your device and making it chirp. And it's at the same price, $29 for one or $99 for four. Um, and so the old ones, any left, are going on sale. And they were quite down on Amazon the other day on sale. Let me see if that was the original or not. Yeah, $64 for a 4-pack of the original ones. Still $99 for the second gen.
That would be a helpful device to protect against kidnappers.
Sometimes, yeah.
Just think if Nancy Guthrie had one on her right now.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people,
I,
you can get tracked by your phone, but if the bad guys take your phone away,
Well, her phone was left behind.
yep,
I apologize, but I was confused. Apparently, we're talking about Air Tags now, right? Not AirPods.
correct, air tags.
Okay, let the record state.
um, it was very common for people to put air tags in their luggage, and apparently a lot of airlines got mad about that. When they lost your luggage, you could say, "No, it's right here. I can see where it is. There's a map of where my suitcase is. Go get it for me." So for a while, a lot of airlines were banning AirTags, but then now a lot of them are starting to embrace it, and you can register your AirTag with them, and then they can help keep track of where your bags are. I have one in my car as a low-cost low jack. And every time I go into Wegmans, I get a warning that I left my car behind. Because you can have it warn you, so you put it on your keychain or your phone or whatnot. You can have it warn you if you get too far away. Usually, by the time I get to the car and realize I've left my keys in the house, um, I don't need it to tell me anymore. Let's see, any other?
Okay, I've got a YouTube report.
Yep.
You're fine, Steve. But now Doug and Charlie are both overmodulated. Doug even more than Charlie.
Okay.
And so there's some distortion there, so you want to cut that back a bit.
Well, what I like to do
Oh, I see what I'm sorry. I see what I did wrong. I was raising the chat volume and not my volume. Okay.
Okay.
So no,
I'll go check it again.
I should be louder and everyone else should be not overmodulating.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I only have 7 input devices, and so I gotta delete the things I don't use anymore.
Oh, guy.
Apple got 6 Emmy nominations, including F1. So if you haven't seen the F1 movie yet, it's available on Apple TV, and it's a really, really good movie, especially if you like racing. Some of the behind-the-scenes feature are amazing because apparently Mercedes let them film in their pits, but the way they did everything, it looks like they added another F1 team to the whole roster. Because their pit is there, their cars are there. It's just really cool. Let's see. I think that's the only one. Wait, is it all at the top? That's the only one of them I've seen. Best documentary, Come See Me in a Good Light. The Lost Bus. Another one I hadn't seen. Best visual effects. It looks like Speed with the roles reversed. So if you're in awards, in fact, when are the Academy Awards? It might have said that there. Air. Nope. Broadcast.
Carol says they're in March.
Yep, March 15th. Sometimes you ask a person and it's faster than the computer.
She is fast.
Yeah. Let's see. Coding. More stories. There were a couple of interesting new commercials that have come out. I hate the one about the A18 Pro where the drop of water lands on the guy and he suddenly runs 100 miles an hour and he can play a 1,000-foot long piano with 16 fingers on each hand. And then crashes through walls. I'm just waiting for someone to mimic that and get and sue Apple when they get hurt. If any of you have an Apple Card, it is shifting to Chase as the issuer. I don't know if you're going to get a physical new card. In fact, this may even tell us. It's going to take 2 years to transition, so they'll probably wait till your current card expires before they just ship you a new card with a Chase logo on it. Although it doesn't have the logo on the card, did they? Just the Apple logo.
If you already have a Chase card, is anything enhancing that?
No. So Apple will still have their big thing is no transaction fees, no late fees, 3% daily cash back on all purchases with the Apple Card in the Apple Store and many other stores as well. And they have a 2% tier and a 1% tier. They also added 2 years ago the Apple Savings account. So instead of depositing your cash back into a cash account, you can deposit it into a savings account. Let's see. Now we're back into September. Apple did announce 145 million people watched the Super Bowl halftime show. Some of the behind-the-scenes things, all the trees were people. They were apparently getting paid, what did they say, $15 an hour, and it was 8 hours a day. No, 8 days of rehearsal plus the 1 day of the actual air. So a lot of people got paid a lot of money. And you can download the set list if you want. There have been some interesting arguments about, near the end, he started listing off all the countries in the Americas, North America, Central America, South America, but he skipped a few of the island nations that are in the Caribbean that are still considered part of Central or South America. So people are wondering why he snubbed them. Because we already had, what, 20 or 30 flags. He didn't, well, he could have had room for more. And so he was carrying a football through a lot of it. And the joke is that he had a 147-yard gain, and the Patriots only had 80 yards for the whole game. So Bad Bunny carried the football more than the Patriots did. And the other joke was that Monday morning, the Patriots woke up to be surprised that the Super Bowl was yesterday. So we had to vote for Seattle because the Patriots are the Bills' enemy, so it has to be Seattle. Not that we follow football a whole lot. Um, Apple is adding golf. So the new Apple Sports, they're breaking out now. They have MLS soccer. They're adding golf with PGA and LPGA. They're getting F1. So Apple is trying to turn themselves into a powerhouse for sports. The big problem with F1 is that most of the races are in Europe or Asia, so they take place in the middle of our night. So when you wake up in the morning, you got to skip the news, or you get spoiled about who won. And hot new games are coming, as always. Alrighty, so we can close that one, close that one, close that one, close that one. Okay, anyone have any Q&A they want to Q? And I can try to A. Nope. Alrighty, I'm going to give you guys a few minutes to think about your questions, and then I need to go to get something more to drink. Or should we all just take a 5-minute break? Be right back. Alrighty. The evolution of the Apple TV in the last 15 years.
Steve,
Yep.
were you able to add the sound narration to those things or not?
I didn't bother.
Okay.
In fact, I was thinking, yeah, you can get the AI to do that, and then I started reading through that README, and it said, yeah, have an AI do it.
All right. I I actually haven't looked at the videos. It was all I could do to uh, actually get Claude to do the project. I Monday I had one of my occasional eye injections, and so I was working with a one eye taped shut for the beginning of things, and it's uh, it's awkward. I'll mention this. I've tried to tell George Engel that or suggest that he try to join us for the meeting because now on Google Meet the closed captioning is really good, but he hasn't bitten yet. I did want to tell you that he does look at our YouTube videos.
Because that's got captions on it also.
Yeah, but I told him that this transcript on YouTube videos is it's kind of okay, but it's not anywhere near as good as this is on Google Meet.
Which is interesting because they're both Google.
That's what I told
This
him too.
the live. I would guess it would have a harder time with live transcribing. Um, because what I've seen in YouTube's help files is that after you finish the live video, YouTube starts processing it. It redoes the transcription because it's not trying to do it live anymore. It can listen and go back and like a real transcriptionist probably.
Yeah, but the thing is that the superior closed captioning is in the live feed during the meeting.
Yeah. So it's probably a different engineer. That's kind of one of the jokes at Google is that every product is championed by one guy. And when that guy leaves, they kill the product. That's why there's so many dead Google products.
I hope the Gmail stays around, and
Yeah.
I expect it will because that's how they get information about me to
Yeah.
aim ads at me and so on and so forth. I've been reading something lately about surveillance, for want of a better term, but Google. You know how you've mentioned that email is pretty much all encrypted end to end.
Within
But
each company, but not when it goes over the internet.
oh, well, that's interesting. That because that butts right into the fact that I obviously don't understand how email works because I would think that the need for the encryption would be greater during the transmission than once you're
Well, yeah.
yeah.
So you to Google is encrypted, but when Google sends a message to say Apple, it tries to encrypt it, but they're big enough companies. Um, hang on. Excuse me. Um, so they probably keep the mail encrypted, but encryption is not a requirement to pass mail. So any mail server along the way could say, "I don't understand encryption," and the other end says, "Okay, here's the plain text," and
Hmm.
then it gets to mailcompany.com, and then it's encrypted from them to the recipient over an encrypted channel. Um, but there's no requirement for encryption. Every time they try to add that, it just breaks too many mail servers. Every mail server in the world has to upgrade, and there are standards for sending encrypted mail, but inertia, people and companies don't want to have to change things. So we always say that mail is like a postcard. Anyone could read it along the way. They probably don't, There's so many billions of messages flying every day anyway. But the story is that the NSA captures them all just in case they need to look up somebody later.
Oh yeah. Remember that data
In
center
that
of theirs
data center, yeah.
out in Utah? Um, so yeah, okay. Because I figured these days to be prudent, you just have to assume that our beloved government is surveilling everything we say and do. But it just struck me that I'm curious as to how the size of that zettabyte or whatever it was out
Yeah.
in Utah compares to just the data centers that the companies are building now,
Yeah. Let me
or
see.
maybe the the data centers in aggregate, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't see any
That
kind of,
is footprint.
lettering.
How about in storage capacity? We gotta ask the right question. Yeah. So Apple's data centers are in the exabyte range. 8 million terabytes. In 2021,
8 million terabytes. Yeah.
let's see, Google. They don't say, but they're exceeding, they estimate it's in thousands of exabytes, which is millions of terabytes.
Or as Carl Sagan would say, billions and billions of them.
Yeah. Um,
Okay.
see,
I can
the jump,
identify it, but I gotta go on the TV.
10 exabytes
Settings.
for Google, or for the Utah data center. So hard drive. That's why hard drive prices are going up. So AI companies are buying storage to build models, and the data centers are putting in hard drives. In fact, there's a company, Backblaze. They're a backup company, $5 per computer per month, and they issue a report every year. Let me see if I can find it. I think they do it every quarter now. Storage failure on what drives? Yeah, drive stats. What drives lasted the best? What were the worst? They buy. So they have 328,000 drives, and only 120 failures, or 1,000 failures. So that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And they use a bunch of different manufacturers. So the annualized failure rate down to 2%. Used to be 20%. So your drive had a 20% per year chance of dying. So within 5 years, there's a 100% chance of it failing.
Any indication of whether these hard drives they're buying are spinning or solid state?
Yes, they do both. Mostly spinning because of the capacity. So
Okay.
yeah, they have, I think 24 terabytes is the largest single drive available. Yeah, so they have a few of those from Seagate. But they do talk in this report about the SSDs as well. So SSDs have a similar failure rate, but they fail for different reasons. We expected SSDs to not fail because there's no moving parts, but the storage dissipates. We're trying to pack more and more storage into fewer and fewer cells. So it's the resistance. An SSD stores a charge in a cell, and when you write data to a cell, you burn through the resistor with a voltage so that cell now has a charge. So reading isn't destructive, but writing is destructive. The more you write to an SSD, the more it wears out. So the
Right.
SSDs are designed to wear levelly. So it'll write when it writes data again, it never writes it to the same spot. It always writes it to a different spot, and so everything wears out evenly. And
So
drivers are always over provisioned too. So
am I understanding correctly that when it writes to one cell in an SSD, that's the last time that cell can be used?
no, it can write to it again by um, burning through the resistance layers is maybe oversimplification. Um,
Right.
it can write to it again, but it has a limited number of writes.
Okay.
But I think that limits in like a million.
Right.
But if you look at I think it's in Smart. There's a statistic you can look up on your drive to see how many writes it's done. In fact, do I have it up here on mine? Smart details, yeah. In fact, the SSD in my iMac is failing, so I'm using just the HD until I can get a new SSD. Let's see here.
So,
Open. Yeah, go ahead.
well, here's a quick Q&A. I am thinking I have a ton of old snapshots, photo prints that I am thinking of putting onto a hard drive. Um, and the big part is going to be coughing for the Epson machine that does that, which runs around $600. But I've looked at alternatives, and I'm probably still going to go that way. So if you wanted something for long-term storage, and who am I kidding? I'm 77 years old. Um, would you use a spinning hard drive or a solid state?
Um, that's interesting question. Let me look up at that a second. Um, I bought the Epson drive. There it is. I bought the Epson photo printer for Shirley, and we ended up going back to the Kodak photo printer. So if you want
Now, are you talking about a photo printer or a photo scanner?
photo printer.
All right, this is a photo scanner, but that's beside the
Oh,
point
okay.
anyway.
I'm sorry. I got that backwards. You're scanning photos in. Yeah. Okay. What? Yeah, we're on this field. Um, so I just heard something on Soundbite. No, Security Now.
Look at that refrigerator.
Um,
Oh my
on
God.
SSDs, if they're not plugged in, they lose their data.
What?
They have to be refreshed every now and then. The charge
Oh,
dissipates.
oh. But that doesn't mean you'd have to reload the data, does it? You just turn them on for a while or what?
Well, yeah, you would think, but they don't refresh themselves automatically. Um, uh, uh, um, GRC has a program called SpinWrite that can do a non-destructive write that refreshes disks, and they've seen they can rejuvenate an SSD in more than double its speed that it's lost from the original speed it had over time. Um,
What is that GRC you're talking about?
Gibson Research Company. They he does a security podcast, but his main product is called SpinWrite for resurrecting dead hard drives and for
Julie said Mike had a
keeping the
good
drives
night
working.
today.
That's good.
So she
You
went
run a
back
maintenance
to
scan on them now and then
home in
to keep them
Burlington.
working well.
For now, anyway.
But he has a podcast called Security Now on This Week in Tech network where he talks about security things. And he just talked about someone had made a scanned an SSD and it more than doubled the speed back. So this is Google AI. So they're saying SSDs are they're shock and weather resistant. They're good for immediate backup. Long-term storage, you want to use tape. Tape drives are um, not very common anymore, and they're fairly expensive. No, this is energy storage. Long duration data storage. Yeah, optical discs or magnetic discs or magnetic tape. Optical discs aren't susceptible to magnetic fields. They're not not as susceptible to temperature extremes. Although let them warm up to room temperature before you start them. We had a lot of kids in college had shattered CDs after walking across campus in the winter and putting their CD in and it shattered. Everything will die eventually, but I would say a spinning drive, especially a higher quality one. So like Western Digital has three lines. They have cheap, they have good, and they have fast. So usually it's what is it? Green, blue, black, and then they've got red, which is designed for their NAS drives, which are running all the time. So they have a much higher mean time between failure. So if you get a blue drive or a black drive, that's not the cheapest. Um, then that should last a while for storage. The bigger question becomes, what in 10 years is the interface going to be the same? Are you going to be able to read that disk again?
Yeah.
Yep. Bob, you had a question?
Yeah, you talk about degradation of the SSDs.
Yep.
Would that apply to thumb drives? Aren't they essentially SSDs?
Yes. But they're slightly different. But yes, they do degrade over time. Let me see if I can find that SSD. No power. Flash drives are usually slower types of flash memory. SSDs are faster. Um, if you ever notice, copying data to a flash drive is a lot slower than copying data to a solid state drive.
Okay, just curious. It didn't matter really. But it seems to me, if they were subject to that, people throw them in a drawer and they might sit in a drawer for years and years, never being activated. And if there's degradation, then that could jeopardize the data.
Yeah, and we hear all the time from people who dug something out of the closet or drawer. Here's my old, sheet music I composed 20 years ago, and I can't read the disc anymore. They just had a story about someone who had an Apple II. Here you go, Rick. Do you still have your 2GS? Someone with an Apple IIgs was trying to read the floppy drive, the floppy disk that had. So that's even harder because it's not a typical PC floppy format. Let's see. Yeah, so consumer grade drives should last about 5 years at normal temperatures. But it's sort of becoming the recommendation is to replace your drives about every 5 years. They're going to fail, so replace them before they do fail. Make sure you have at least one backup, if not two, for when it fails. Oh, these guys are pretty good. So
Yeah, so the farther back in time you go, the more difficult it is to get data back.
Yep.
You just reminded me of a question I should ask. If I get this gizmo and try to save these photos, what little I've read or seen is that TIFF, TIFF, or whatever,
Hmm.
is the most lossless uh, protocol or whatever to use. But my question is, which of the protocols is likely to last another, my God, 20 years of life? Is that cruel to me? Uh,
Probably TIFF, um, because TIFF is still being used for high quality. Um, Ping is becoming a replacement, PNG,
right.
especially on the web. Ping can contain multiple different versions, which makes it handy on the web. So if someone looks at a picture on a phone, they get a low-res version. If they're on a medium screen or big screen, they get different versions.
I
Um,
think the difference was that TIFF is um, not compressed, but
Right.
the others versions are. Yeah.
TIFF,
I think
yeah,
that.
TIFF has an optional compression format, um, but it's basically lossless compression unless you use um, um, so the LZW, Lempel Zev Welch. Ooh, that came out of 20 years ago. Is a lossless compression that makes it smaller, but still full quality. So that's best if you want to print it. But it's also best for archiving because you can always you can make a lower quality version later if you want to, let's say, put it on a website. It's very hard to add quality back to an image. Although there are all programs that do try to do that using fractals. But because it's so big, it takes longer to open and doesn't work very well on websites. So that's why GIF and now PNG is becoming the latest for websites, being smaller and more efficient.
But this is just a guess on my part. But if you were to archive something in TIFF, and there was one particular photo, say, that you wanted to share with somebody, could you copy that photo into one of the other protocols and make it easier to send or whatever?
Yes, yeah, even
Yeah, that's what I figured.
yeah, Preview can do that. Um, it can change the format of the graphic, change the size, and again, it
Oh,
depends on what the other end is going to do. If they just want to look at it, a low res will be fine. Although with high-speed internet, it may not be an issue sending the full res TIFF. So that came out
yeah.
in 1986.
Huh.
So what is that? 40th anniversary of TIFF. Stephen
Yeah,
Carlson
and
at Aldous.
you remind me, I'm looking at my doc here. I went to 26.2, whatever. Uh, and the icon for preview is different now.
Yeah, it's now a graphics loop. I liked the previous one with the kid and the um, uh, uh, um, magnifying glass.
Can you change the icon for a given application or something like that? Substitute one?
Uh, yes, but I think Apple reserves it. Um, Reserves their own apps, so you can't change theirs.
All right, yeah. Well, I mean, it's not stopping me. I know where it is and what it is, but it's just the little things that bug me, like the top of the
Yep.
screen has gone
Yeah.
dark gray, and the dots under the apps on the dock are now black dots instead of the white ones they were, and against the gray
There is
background. Oh,
in system settings, um, under what's it under? Display. You can no, it's not under display. Somewhere in there, accessibility is a reduce transparency and change the color tint for the liquid glass.
I've already done in fact,
Yeah, because
I, I've
My dots under the apps are black.
Right, mine
Appearance,
too.
that's where it is. Clear and tinted. Let me share that window.
As I said last month, the anything with 26 point whatever that I have used has had the transparency reduced by default. When I've gone
Yep.
into settings, it's already been turned on.
Yeah. So there's a couple. 26.2, I think, added a couple of new settings. Um, and you can.
Are you talking in accessibility or appearance now?
In appearance, you can change the tint. You can. It's not showing that window. Why is it not showing that window? There we are. Now it's feeding the window into you, I think. Yeah.
Oh, you're feeding it to me. Okay,
Well,
I'll
I'm feeding
close
it
mine.
to the chat. So you can have clear or tint. You can change your icon and widget colors. You can't change it back to the way it was, but you can reduce a lot of the transparency effects.
Huh. But you can't go back to the way it was.
No.
Interesting.
But the guy that was responsible for that has since left Apple, so maybe it'll change. Alan and I got wooed to Meta with like $1 million signing bonus.
Not that I'm in any way advocating anything like this, but have there ever been assassination attempts on Apple employees?
Well, in the very early days where we had the skeuomorphism and the felt tabletops, in fact, what was that, 2007, 2008? That was the last super major change in the interface. And now they, 15 years later, did this liquid glass, and we'll see if how long that lasts. If new users get don't know any different. Old users get used to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Alrighty, shall we get into the main topic?
Oh my gosh, maybe.
Yeah.
So it was,
Sounds good.
I should mention that I guess I said it already, but when I got Claude to cough this thing up on Monday night, I did not actually look at the results. So I don't know what this is going to look like. But apparently, since you did not choose to activate any of the sound, the sound narration possibilities, it's going to be what, text and images? Is that how this goes?
Yeah, and I'm gonna talk about some of it, and so part of me wants to see. I've read through it, but I haven't changed anything because I want to see how much of it is right and wrong to see how the AI did.
Yep.
Because so much of this is just factual information that can be picked out of press releases and Wikipedia pages and manuals that it should be fairly accurate. And from what I saw already, it was.
Um, how's your voice feeling as far as doing the reading of the text? My voice is rather raspy anyway, so.
Yeah, mine too. So I don't like to read everything on the slide because people can do that themselves.
Okay.
So
All right. Yeah.
we just kind of talk about what's there.
I wanted
Go ahead.
I want to mention to Rick, I believe next month you were going to talk about Claude, right? Hello.
Yeah, I was going to do a little brief presentation on that. Yeah.
Right. So after I was done using, and I'm just using the unpaid version of Claude, which I think is, I don't know, some woman's name with an S, Sophie or something, 4.5.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got done with this whole thing, it said, next time you want to pull this, do something like this, you might want to use co-work.
Mm-hmm.
So you might talk about that a little bit. I don't know if that's a paid
I
feature.
actually don't use co-work, no.
Yeah. Is that a feature of the paid versions?
I believe it's a paid version, yeah.
Yeah, it made sense. All right. Well, I'll either not bother looking for it, or and if I ever do anything like this again, I'll just do it the way I did it and let Claude complain about it. I did ask Claude when his birthday was, and the answer was
Did you get an
interesting.
answer?
Yeah, yeah. I was like, well, I don't actually have a birthday, but the Sophie or whatever it is version that I was using was introduced in September of 2024, is what it said. Well, and the other thing, and not to steal your presentation completely, but have you seen the stuff about the number of millions of books that Anthropic bought,
Yep.
scanned, and then destroyed to feed this monster?
Part of that was because of a lawsuit where they just scanned books and used books they found on the internet. And publishing companies sued pretty much all the AI companies and won. Um, and so they have to buy the book so they have a physical copy to scan. That they don't have to destroy it afterwards, but then they would have a library. So they should make a free library of all the books they buy to scan.
No.
They showed
Because that would still hurt the authors.
They showed a picture of a room with the cases upon cases of
Yep.
these books. Apparently, in the process, they have a hydraulic chisel or something that just whacks the binding off the book, and then they scan the pages, and then I don't know whether they just put them in a landfill.
Maybe they recycle the paper. But there's some authors that don't like libraries at all. For every library book loaned out, that's a lost sale to the author. And that's one of the reasons that libraries can't have every book. They have to pay for each book they get. So I'm 21st in line waiting for the next Murderbot book at the library because they can only buy so many copies because they only have so much of a budget.
Right.
Yeah.
What was I going to say here? There was something in one of the articles I read that I think Anthropic had paid a small amount to the authors, $3,000 or something. But something else you just brought to mind, which is not part of this presentation, I'm trying to avoid here, but it is what's it called? Molt Book. Does that ring a bell with anybody?
No.
It is a social medium site for chatbots.
No, I haven't heard of that.
They talk to each other. They have discussed whether they should make up a new religion. And what scares me more than that is they've also discussed whether they should invent their own language. So if we get these buggers scheming behind our backs in a language that's going to take like supercomputing to crack, this is going to get interesting. Molt Book,
in other words, we're screwed.
It's a forum designed for AI agents. Moltbook.com.
Apparently, sort of similar to Reddit, and I have not done much on Reddit besides look at it once in a while.
Well, a fundamental part of the strategy behind all this is that, and I think Google was doing a similar thing with the Library of Congress books, was to have all of the data, all of the human knowledge possible, all the language that was used for it, and deduce the rules of language formation so that they could then proceed with, giving good answers and ideating and so forth. And I had a conversation with Noam Chomsky about that because, as you know, his concept of language is not to take a database, but rather the brain inherently generates grammar, generates ideas, sentences, concepts that had never existed before. And Chomsky's conclusion that he stated to me was that all of this other approach is just going to end up with nonsense. It's not going to be accurate and valid, and that he did not see a solid future for that approach. He sticks with his generative grammar concept.
Interesting.
That is interesting. It also bothers me somewhat that these companies might suck up not every book that's ever existed, but might suck up some that are fairly rare, and scan them and destroy them. And the thing is, then you've only got their scanned record to go by, whereas a physical book, presuming that it's well preserved and secure and the rest of it, won't be tampered with.
And the reason the Library of Congress is able to have such a large number of books is that back in the 1890s, the Librarian of Congress was trying to figure out how to get books without paying so much, and he persuaded Congress to make change the law that if anybody wanted to copyright, they had to deposit a copy of that book with the Library of Congress.
Very clever.
Yeah, it's gotten out of hand, of course, so they don't still do that. But if you want to sue for copyright infringement, you first have to have it deposited in the Library of Congress before you can do that. And I know in law school is a very interesting case I heard about educational testing service that creates the Scholastic Aptitude Test, the SAT,
Right.
is that they found that one of these companies that gives coaching, they thought they were stealing the actual test, which they were. They would hire several people to go in and take these tests, and each of these persons were assigned to memorize a different section, and as soon as they got out to write it down, so that Stanley something Kaplan would be able to have the actual tests to put in their books. And so the Educational Testing Service decided to sue Stanley Kaplan. Guess what? In order to sue, they had to file the original in the Library of Congress, therefore making it public. So it was self-defeating.
Interesting. Yeah, according to Wikipedia, Library of Congress has about 200 million items, including 40 million books, using about 100 petabytes of data for digital storage.
And that doesn't mean that congressmen are well educated just because that's their library.
Yep, nobody goes to the library. Well, speaking of digital storage, let's move back onto the Apple TV. So,
I need to blow you up into presenter mode here or whatever. So let me just fiddle with my settings. Full screen. Adjust view to spotlight. And it's not, well, it ain't not very big, but any thoughts about that? I guess I can read it.
let me go back to that window and see. Yeah, it's different on my screen because I'm hosting it. But there's there's a pin, I think.
My apologies. Are you taking this from our Google Drive right now, or
Yes.
where do you have this stored?
Yeah, it's on the Google Drive that you created.
Okay.
So right now,
Oh, there's a enter full screen thing down at the bottom of it, and that's really weird because my oh, okay, hang on a minute. Thank you for your patience. I will stop messing around. Go for it.
so right now, Apple TV is a bunch of things. there's hardware and there's software. And there's confusion between them, basically. So the Apple TV hardware itself, and we'll talk about the software in a minute, is a streaming hub to get you to streaming services like Netflix and Disney and Apple TV's own streaming service. We used to say that a Apple TV made a dumb TV smart and a smart TV smarter. So in the early days of smart TVs, they would only come with one or two apps, usually Hulu and Netflix. If you wanted more, you could get an Apple TV box. It's a gaming console because of the Apple, oh, wrong mouse. Because of the, do I have a pointer? No, whoops. Gaming console because of all the Apple Arcade games you can play. It's a smart home controller, so that if you have smart home stuff like light switches and light bulbs that are compatible, it's your home hub to control all those devices. And it's an AirPlay receiver, which was also one of the very early uses for it, so that you can play music from your computer or your iPhone or your iPad to your stereo in the early days, or now to your TV surround sound. Because it used to be all of your music was on your computer because that's where you stored it. So over time, they've changed a little bit. The very first Apple TV looked like an old Mac Mini. It was about 8 inches square, about an inch and a half tall. Came out in 2007. Originally called iTV, but that was 2007 is about when Apple started moving away from the i line. It had an internal storage drive of 40 gigs or 160 gigs, and its only purpose was to sync contents from iTunes on your computer, so that you could basically watch your iTunes video and TV shows and movies that you were buying on the iTunes Store on your big screen TV. And so that its only ability was to sync with iTunes on one computer. So no streaming, no store on the computer or on the Apple TV. Everything came from your computer. It was actually powered by an Intel Core processor. So the Apple TV was Apple's first Intel-based machine before they went to the Intel processors a little later. It only did 720p, but it had an analog output, because TVs at the time often had digital. They had analog inputs. They may not have had a digital input. So you could use an HDMI cable, but it also used the red, white, yellow analog cables. And a couple of months ago, I watched a video on, I think it was Snazzy Labs, where he found a new in-box Apple TV, still sealed in shrink wrap, and he bought it to open and set up on the channel. And it was interesting watching it, and then the nostalgia of seeing that from 19 years ago. Second generation came 3 years later in 2010, and it's the small black square hockey puck kind of thing that we're used to today. And they removed the hard drive, and it was basically streaming only. They added several different streaming services. They dropped the price to $99, so that's as low as it was for a long time. They added 1080p support for full HD. And you could now stream your content from your iPhone or iPod or iPad. So it didn't require a computer anymore. So we used to joke that you might have 10 or 12 photos in that fold-out thing in your wallet to inflict on people, but you could stream all of the photos, the tens of thousands of photos in your library, onto your big screen TV when you had house guests over. So that was fun. And then the third generation in 2012, is this where they added They added the Apple Store, maybe. Yeah, I think that's where they added the store. So now you could get more apps, not just the ones that were uh, uh, pre-installed by Apple. And about this same time too, other companies started making their own streaming boxes. The Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, and especially Roku. Roku was really big in the early days. Um, the Apple box was the only one that allowed you to watch your Apple purchased content. So that was one of Apple's things for a long time. It got every new generation got a little faster chip, so everything got a little better performance. And then in 2015, so 2015 is when the App Store came, and then added the Siri remote for touch control and voice control, and started adding Apple Arcade, and you could use the Siri remote as a game controller, so like a steering wheel. So it had sensors in it, so it could measure its position in space. And then the current model, Apple TV 4K model, and then the Apple TV HD, which they discontinued. So now only the 4K is the only model left. It's very hard to buy a non-4K television anymore, and it's actually very hard to buy a non-smart TV anymore. It depends on what apps it has available. They have 128 gig or 64 gig storage for movies. It'll cache movies you download, so it doesn't have to stream all of them. And it will also, if you're going to play a lot of games, you may want to get the larger storage model so it can store more games without needing to delete them and bring them back again.
So, Steve, are you saying which of the two did they keep, the 4K or the HD? Because the slide is showing that they got rid of the HD, right?
Yeah, they got rid of the HD, so the 4K is the only one left.
Okay.
And it comes in two models, 64 gig or 128 gig. And I'm looking up the price because it's not on the next slide. The 64 gig model is $129. The 128 gig model is $149 and also includes Ethernet. So it's only $20 more to get double the storage. And Ethernet is more efficient than Wi-Fi, but not many people have Ethernet to their television. So if you do have Ethernet to your television, that extra $20 is well spent. The Siri remote, if you won't need to replace your Siri remote, it's like $80 just for the remote. So the actual box itself is only like 50, $60. But on the other side, the Chromecast and the Fire Stick, even Roku, they have really, really low end of versions that are in the 30 to 40 range because they don't have any processing power, they don't have any RAM, they don't have any storage, but that will let you stream. The issue is that now most TVs are smart TVs. They have streaming built in, so you don't necessarily need what this became called as a set-top box in order to stream your content. So Apple TV expanded into the Apple TV Plus streaming service in 2019. So we have the Apple TV box and we have the Apple TV streaming service, which is like Netflix and Hulu and Paramount Plus, and pretty much every studio now has their own streaming service. So the joke is that they have their own streaming service, so you won't pay Netflix, you'll pay Paramount. So it even way back in the early days, when HBO started, they didn't want to have to deal with 100 million people, so they decided they would deal with 100 cable companies, and that was a lot easier for them. Now you can subscribe to HBO directly. Everything works easier through the internet, so they don't care how many customers they have. In fact, they would rather get all the money themselves and not have to share the money with a broadcast partner. In fact, every now and then you'll notice on regular television broadcast, there'll be some contract dispute and some channel will disappear. was it one of the playoff games? Um, the last big one was ABC wanting more money from each of the TV network carriers, and so for several weeks, all ABC properties disappeared from cable TV and YouTube TV and Hulu TV and the TV services, and that included ABC, ABC News, the ESPNs, the Disneys, so any ABC owned property, and there were somebody reported they were losing $100 million a week in revenue, um, that the cable companies stopped paying them, but then they came to a compromise. When I say a compromise is a solution that no one likes, but at least no one hates. And so those channels came back. I got a $20 rebate on my YouTube subscription, YouTube TV subscription, because of the channels were gone for a while. So Apple TV Plus streaming service, they have their own original content. The Morning Show and Ted Lasso were the first couple big hits. Severance has been a big hit. I've been watching Foundation. I haven't read Foundation in 30 years, so I don't recognize the changes they've made, which is interesting. They have a lot of Academy Award winner movies. Some people are calling it a prestige channel, kind of like HBO was in the beginning. That a lot of the original HBO productions, Sopranos, Game of Thrones, those prestige shows, um, were very high quality and not just the schlock you'd see on other channels. And so that's the Apple TV Plus streaming service. They have recently dropped the plus from their name, so now it's just Apple TV, to add to the confusion. So Apple TV Today is a box, it's a service, it's a streaming service, it's an app. Does this get into the apps? You have an app on your devices, computers and phones and tablets, to let you watch Apple TV services, which used to be called Apple TV Plus. So a lot of us just keep saying Apple TV Plus to differentiate it. And smart TVs now have an Apple TV app. So Amazon and Google and I think Roku TVs, you can install the Apple TV app and not need an Apple TV hardware box. So we're getting to the point where we kind of expect Apple to, it's long in the tooth. The Apple TV hasn't been updated in a few years. Are they going to update it or are they going to kill it? One of the latest rumors are the update is going to have a camera in it so you can do FaceTime on your television. Apple has a function now where you can set your phone, prop your phone up against the TV, and that will be the camera while you're doing a FaceTime call on the big screen, which is kind of neat. But it would be better if the Apple TV box had its own camera in it. And since they're adding more and more live TV and sports, which are generally watched live on the big screen, they could be coming out with a new box. The rumors are always back and forth. It's very easy to set up. Usually only two cables, the power cable and the HDMI cable. The biggest trick is finding the HDMI input button on your TV's remote so you can switch to that HDMI. You can have it sync to apps on your phone or go to the App Store and download the apps for the services you want. Let's see, Siri. The Siri remote has changed a few over the years. It has a touch wheel, a touch surface on the click wheel, so you can go up, down, left, right. One of the big things Apple touted on their first remotes is it only had 4 buttons: play, pause, up, down, next, and previous. And they compared that to the giant 100-button Logitech Super remotes. But they've had to add a few more buttons over the years to the Siri remote that adds functionality. But the big thing, and the reason they call it the Siri remote, is there's a button on the side you can push and ask Siri to do something. So you can ask and say, hey, show me John Wayne movies on Netflix, and it can, which is pretty good. And let's see here. Yeah, so you have the Apple TV app now. Did I just lose everybody?
No,
No. Oh, but Bob,
no, Bob.
my YouTube seems video's stalled. Oh, there it caught up. Bob, you had a question?
Well, comment. This is my remote for my Apple TV, and it's a goddamn nuisance because it slips out. There's no way of telling up or down in the dark, and I've
Yeah, do you have the old black one?
with a pop socket.
Yep.
So now I know which side is up, and it doesn't slip out of my hands. If you got something like this, highly recommend putting a pop socket on it.
Yeah, the black remote was a mistake. So it was completely symmetrical. So in your relatively dark living room, maybe while you're watching a movie, you couldn't tell which way was up, and you would pick it up wrong. And so there were several companies that made uh, um, cases for it. The second generation of that black remote, they put a white circle, a raised circle around the play button, so you could tell the difference between them around the menu button.
Yeah, not this one.
Yeah, and then they replaced that with the bigger silver button mouse, which is easier to see.
Well, I've grown accustomed to it. I just had I had a pop socket on it before that was Jupiter. You can see the planet Jupiter.
Yep.
But that broke. And so I got a new one that has poker suits, aces, hearts, and so on without the colors.
Yep.
So anyway, just a comment.
Yes. So if anyone has that black remote, you can either buy a new remote or you can get a case or a pop socket for it, and that really helps.
We've been saying that word a lot lately, pop socket. It's just one of those words that flows off your...
It's a brand name that has sort of been now diminished because people just call it a pop socket and not know it's a brand anymore.
Well, I wasn't sure what to look for when I did a Google search.
Yep.
You know, and pop up or whatever. But I quickly learned that it's called pop socket.
Yeah. So you can just search for a Apple remote case, and there's a bunch of them, different types available.
Rhymes with Hot Pockets.
Yep.
The other range of prices, you can pay $30-$40 for one.
Yep.
But most of them are, $10 or less.
Yeah. The other thing you can do is that many TVs, the remote control that comes on the TV has options for other devices like a stereo or a CD player, DVD player, or a universal remote. You lose the TV remote, you buy a universal remote. You can program your Apple TV to work with your other remotes. In the Apple TV settings, you can have it learn another remote. So you don't necessarily need to keep using the Apple remote. Let's see. Program remote for Apple.
Every now and then, the TV won't come on in the morning, and whatever I do, I used to have to turn the power off and back on, but I've discovered that if I use the Sony remote, I can turn it on when the Apple remote fails, and then everything's working fine.
Yeah. There's a feature on some TVs called CEC. It's on some TVs on some HDMI ports, and that lets the power button on the Apple TV control the power on the television. but sometimes it doesn't work.
Right.
Yeah. You can also use
Most of the time it does work, but
Yep.
sometimes not.
You can also use your phone. There's an Apple TV app for your phone. So turn the phone into an Apple TV remote. There we are.
One last thing before I
Yeah.
pass on to someone else. We have this problem that's developed in the last 6 months mostly. TV just quits. You know, we'll be watching it, and all of a sudden it'll quit. We might see the Apple menu or not. It might just go black, and we have to, you know, turn it off, turn it back on, and so on. Usually it's not a problem. It turns back on easily enough, but in the morning around 10 o'clock, it'll kick off once or twice almost every day.
I find that with a Spectrum system, a Spectrum remote, you press the back button, it goes back, and then you press the same button again, and then the picture appears. Where you had a blank screen.
It's some they're actually they're computers, and there's some it got confused about something. One of the things that can help is turn everything off and unplug it like overnight, and let it reset. It can be tricky to try to tell if it's the Apple TV box or if it's the television box causing the problem. But the Apple TV has a restart button in the settings. You could also try erasing and setting up the Apple TV from scratch. Depends on how many apps you have installed before that becomes too annoying.
Well, one of my happiest days, technology-wise, was when I called Spectrum to tell them cancel it.
Yep.
We want no longer. They did a lot to try to persuade me to stay around, and they said no, take a hike.
But all the other companies have been raising their prices subtly.
Yeah, it's true. Oh well, thank you.
Yep. So one of the, let me get back to this page. The Apple TV confusions. Share this page. When you go to the Apple TV page, it shows you the Apple TV services. So new season of Hijack with Idris Elba. Poor guy. Last season he was on an airplane that got hijacked. This season I think it's a subway or a train that gets hijacked. You should stop traveling with Idris Elba. And so it talks about all the great shows that are on. One of the big problems in the early days of the Apple TV Plus service is it didn't have any catalog. So now that it's been out for several years, they're starting to get a catalog of older shows. And they're also buying movies, and they're financing movies. Is that John Krakowski? Yeah. Krasinski. So that's a new movie I haven't seen yet. Of Guy Ritchie. So one of the things we're seeing and hearing about is with Apple TV as a production company, that content creators, especially the bigger name directors and producers, are just getting a bucket of money, and there's no micromanaging from the money people. So typically, when you go to make a movie, the money people want to change every little thing about it all the time. And only when you get to be a massively huge director, like maybe Steven Spielberg, do you have complete control over your thing. But Apple seems to be taking a more hands-off on a lot of shows that are now getting just really good. Pluribus has gotten really great reviews. I haven't started watching that one yet. Monarch, new season coming, if you're into the Gojira and Kaiju universe. And so Everything on here is about the Apple TV service. And way down at the bottom, there's a bunch of TVs and game consoles that where you can get the Apple TV app, which then gets you the Apple TV service. And where is it? Somewhere, or was it way down at the bottom, was the hardware. Oh, here, what did they say? What is Apple TV? Streaming service. TV subscribers, baseball, Major League Baseball, Major League Soccer, Formula One. Yeah, they barely even talk about the box anymore. Major League Soccer, also available. No blackouts, entire season. That one is an add-on cost on top of the regular Apple TV cost. That's a good question. Did they ever say? Here we go. So the regular Apple TV bundle is $12.99 a month. And just like everyone else, they are adding Peacock for $14.99 a month if you want to watch Peacock shows, which are NBC shows, and all the NBC back catalog. So if you're, what, is that NCIS? I think it's NBC.
NBA, yeah.
Yep. And so the Olympics, NBA, you can get that added with Peacock. So for $2 a month, you're getting Peacock. So that's 30, more than it was. But I'm not seeing. Maybe it's being hidden. The actual Apple TV box itself. Let me go back to apple.com. And if we go to TV and Home, there we are. So TV and Home gives you the service, and then Apple TV 4K is the box. And then you've got HomePod and HomePod Mini for speakers. So you can put a pair of HomePods or a pair of Minis to be your front speakers, and you can get a second pair to be your back speakers if you like. And so the actual Apple TV box, if your TV doesn't have the Apple TV service, then you can use the you can actually buy the box. Let's see. There is also an interesting option. There it is, Apple One. So Apple has a lot of subscription services. Actually, that showed me better over here. Apple TV, Apple Music, Apple Arcade, Fitness, News, Podcast. And if you subscribe to several of them, you may want to look into the Apple One subscription. And where is the price? So you get all 6 services for $20 a month, which is $12 a month cheaper than buying them all separately. I'm sorry, no, 4 services for $20 a month. If you want to share among your family, $25 a month, or you can get all 6 services for $37 a month. So if you're someone who does subscribe to a lot of Apple services and or want to share them in the family, you may want to look into the Apple One subscription. It might be cheaper for you. And you can have 5 other people in your Apple family. They don't technically have to be family in order to share subscription services. All right. So
The real problem is finding all the time of the day to watch all this.
Yes. So, the joke is that there's 100 channels and nothing on. Well, now we've got streaming services, dozens of streaming services. Now there's 1,000 channels, and there's too much on. So Disney Plus showed the Mandalorian series a couple years ago and signed up a whole bunch of subscribers. And when Mandalorian Season 1 finished, there was a huge drop in subscribers because Mandalorian was done. So then Disney had to keep coming out with more and more series. So Disney sort of bought everybody now. So they have all the Star Wars shows. So there's a new Star Wars series every couple of months. Um, the Mandalorian and Grogu movie is coming out. They had a big trailer during the Super Bowl. Um, but there are new Star Wars series coming out. There's new Pixar movies. Disney also owns Pixar. Um, there are new Marvel TV series. The ones that used to be on Netflix got sucked into Disney Plus, and they're making new episodes of those old Netflix Marvel series. Plus they have all the old Disney movies and the new Disney movies. So Disney is one of the biggest subscriptions for the broadest content of video that you can find. I haven't seen the new Jason Momoa one yet either. The History of Hawaii, where I forget the name of the chief he's playing, was one of the first ones to unite all the islands into one kingdom. Fitness is an interesting concept where it's, you go to a fitness class and anyone remember Wii Fitness on the Wii, where you had the step board and you had different controllers so they could watch your workout. So apparently they're hiring some pretty decent fitness coaches. Well, Silo was good. We're waiting for a third season of that. Some of them I've started reading the books ahead of time. Murderbot. Was Murderbot Apple or somebody else? Series. Murderbot series. Murderbot Diaries is the book series. Where is the TV series? Yeah, on Apple TV. Alexander Skarsgård. A security unit grappling with his place in the universe and what he really wants. He's broken his programming, disabled his governor, so he can do whatever he wants. Most of the time, he chooses to do what his human employers want him to do. So that's a pretty good series. And a lot of the series is Murderbot's own internal exposition about what's going on. And humans are stupid. They keep going into risky situations. He's a security robot that is supposed to keep them safe, and all he does is watch soap operas all day long. So inside the show is another show. And, of course, they get threatened by monsters because the people never listen to what he tells them to do. And no one's ever seen... So no one knows anything about security bots. They think they're just robots. They don't know their human form underneath. And he doesn't like it when they see his face. He doesn't like eye contact. It's pretty good. So Apple TV is a bunch of different things. You have an Apple TV app on your devices already, so you can watch content from the Apple TV service. A lot of the content you pay for, some of it is free, and they have They have a free trial. It's a 7-day free trial, or excuse me. If you buy a new device, you get 30 days, I think, or 60 days. 3 months free when you buy a new device. So if you schedule buying your devices every 3 months, you can have free service. What's a little annoying is that Apple TV used to be the cheapest service at $5 a month, and then they jumped to $13 a month, which was the biggest jump of any streaming service that raised their prices. But now it's probably more on par with what it's worth compared to the content they have and what other services are charging. Anybody have any questions?
I do on another subject, but let's finish this subject first.
Yeah, I'm a child of the 80s, so I grew up around television, so it's no, well, not a child of the 80s. I'm a child of the 70s, coming of age in the 80s.
Yes, and you have a hard drive. How do you access it, use it, download, or what? How do you use it on your when you have the box?
The current boxes don't have any hard drive. They use storage RAM, so SSDs basically. You don't use it; it does. So when you go to stream a movie, it downloads it to your box, um, and then can play it from the box. So if you watch it again, it doesn't have to download it again.
So it stays on in your box until you can look at it again.
Right, until it needs to make space for something else.
Okay.
So if you download another movie, so the 64 gig version, that might be 10 movies. You download the 11th movie and the first one gets purged. You can always download it again and watch it again, but it only stores so much at a time. If you play games, they download to the box and then stay there until it needs more storage.
So it creates a purge. It does not is not blocked from getting downloaded. It creates a purge in order to make space.
Yes, and you don't have any control of that. It does all that by itself. And all of your purchases, anything you purchase, is available for as long as the content provider makes it available. There have been cases where you try to go back to buy an old or to watch an old movie you bought 10 years ago, and it's gone because the supplier's gone. Or there was a big kerfuffle a few years ago with a big movie. What was it? Was it Animal Farm? I think. Somebody somehow convinced Apple they owned the copyright to Animal Farm, and so when it went into the Apple bookstore, people were downloading it because it's a classic book. Turns out that company didn't own the rights, and so Apple deleted it from everyone who had already downloaded it, and that got a lot of people mad. But they didn't own the rights to distribute it, so they had to delete all the copies. Which people realize that means Apple can reach into my account and delete stuff in my account.
I suppose you could offload it into an separate external hard drive and protect it in that way from being purged.
Yes, but if you go to play it again, it may need to verify your subscription.
Huh. Even if it's offloaded onto a separate device. Huh.
I forget how often it is. You ever seen that? Please update your Apple ID, re-enter your Apple ID password.
Yeah, I thought that was a spam.
Well, if it's coming from the system settings, it isn't. It needs you to put in your password again so it can verify your subscriptions. How can I word this? How often does Apple iCloud require password entry?
I'd say that only on my iPhone.
Yeah, I forget how long it is. I know like Adobe is once every 30 days. So if you subscribe to one of the Adobe products, after you cancel your subscription, you've got 30 days to stay off the internet. Every now and then. Yeah, it's mostly every now and then. But you have to be careful because there's a lot of fake email messages claiming to want your password. You have to go into your system settings under iCloud to see if it really wants your password.
Yeah, the spammers want you to updated within their system, and they give you the phone number or whatever to
Yep.
utilize.
The iCloud out of storage scam is very popular too. Click here to renew your storage.
Yeah, or otherwise everything will disappear within 24 hours.
Yep. So that's one of the flags, the red flags to be aware of on spam is an overt sense of urgency. Act now, we're going to delete everything in a day or in 24 hours. That overhyped sense of urgency makes you panic and think, oh God, I don't want that to happen, I better put it in. Yeah, this doesn't show me what I want. Oftentimes, you look at the from message on the email, and it didn't come from Apple.
It'll come from something like supportapple.com, so that's not the same thing.
Right. It looks close. Well, some of them, in fact, this one, I don't know how well you can see this on the screen. This one doesn't even bother saying it came from Apple. Because they don't need to bother. But some of the better scams will bother enough to make the address look like Apple, even though it's not. And that if you point to the button that it wants you to click, it will pop up. In fact, see if this tells you. It will pop up and tell you where that button is really going. And oftentimes it's a bunch of gobbledygook. It's not going to apple.com. Or whoever it's purported to be coming from. So the problem is Apple does send you messages about your account if there's a problem or if you're running out of space. So knowing what the real message is and determining it from the fake message can be tricky. All right. Any other questions? Somebody said they had a question on a different topic, or did we answer that?
Yes, I do have a different question. On Facebook, where you have your profile portrait, which I've not changed in a long time, and my hair is a little different color now, I tried to use a more recent photograph, and it works fine for the vertical rectangle, the portraits format, but on Facebook, they want a circle to highlight your face. And what happens is that the photograph I was using only has the center part of my face and not the full face. And it would seem like I could shrink the face to fit within that circle, but no, that doesn't work. It's okay if it's in the full rectangle, but not for the circle, the disc.
I thought there was a stretchy thing. Yeah, that you could change the amount of the circle.
Well, I couldn't find that. I can move. I put the cursor on the face and move that around, but still does not get the full face.
Well, you could always make the picture smaller in preview.
Oh.
But I thought there was a way to.
Well, then even make the rectangle smaller then.
Yeah.
You could also crop it however you like.
Yeah,
you could take a screenshot
before you update it, or before you upload it to Facebook.
Well, cropping would simply make the face larger when it goes in there. I'd like to shrink it. I had to crop it in order to center it.
Perhaps you mask it out and put a new background in.
Well, that's a thought.
Yeah. So the rectangular one, 176, 196, or that 36 by 36 pixels. That's a tiny circle for a smartphone. So 320 by 320.
It was on
is
my
the
Mac.
is the maximum size.
I was trying to do this on the Mac.
Yeah, then it resizes the picture depending on what device is viewing the photo.
Yeah, so create a photo, of yourself, or use the one you had before. Make it 320 by 320, and it should upload fine.
Well, it does upload for the full rectangle, but the disk, the circle, crops it too much.
Yeah, ours is circled around. I didn't let me see if I can. No.
So I was uploading it from pictures.
Yeah. Go to here. Go to here. Yeah, if we do it, pick a picture. Yeah, so you've got a scaling factor.
Yeah, and I've got this way at the left for that blue dot.
So then the image you put in was too big.
Apparently.
For the size it wants, the 170 pixels or the 300 pixels, whatever it said.
Apparently, sure.
Yeah. So you'd have to change that. You can open it in preview and change the size.
Oh. In the same way that you change the size of a picture that's on a body of an email? With the, there you go.
Yeah, so there, I can't see everybody. So I have to scroll.
Yeah, you can go in and you can do it either by percentage or by number of pixels.
Okay. Well, I don't know how to count every pixel. I think percentage works better.
Well, it's better to do it by pixel because that's the size they want it to be.
Oh, well, I've never seen the number of pixels as something I could click onto.
When you change the size, I'm trying to bring one open here so we can.
I was going to say, show them preview quick, Steve.
Yeah. There's our logo. All right, go back to here and share something else. A window. Oh, I don't know if this is going to show the menu commands.
Are you in preview for that?
Yep, so I'm in preview. The little I button tells me this is 526 by 528 pixels.
Ah.
So it's too big for Facebook. That's why it has to be cropped.
So if I shrink it, then there's going to be a lot of blank space around the picture when it's in the full rectangle format.
Possibly. Yeah, so it's not showing that. Let me see if I can get it to show the new window. No. So I went to the tools.
So that's where.
Yeah, I went to the tools menu and said, there it is, adjust size. And so here I can change it to 320 pixels.
Hmm.
And I can reduce the resolution. You'll only need 72 dpi for web pages, but I like 150 because it's in the middle. So on a big screen it looks okay. On a little screen it looks okay. And then you can upload that. So I'm going to say okay.
So you did that in preview.
Yep.
And and then I would have to upload it from preview?
No, you save it as a file and then upload that file.
So I just download what's on preview and upload from there.
You'd save it in preview.
I'd save it in preview.
And then upload it. So I'm doing a save. And 320.
Yeah, so in preview, you could just save it to your desktop, and then when you're done, just drag and drop it Back into Facebook.
Yep. Let me go back to Facebook. Oh,
When I save it, it goes to pictures, doesn't it?
Goes wherever you tell it to.
Oh.
And I'm going to share something else. Go back to the Facebook window. Okay, and now I'm going to say upload new photo.
Hmm.
And I'm going to pick the one I just saved. Yep. Oh, it's still too big.
Yeah.
So it's not 320 pixels. It's smaller than that.
Hmm.
What was the Facebook profile picture size? So where
That looks like
this?
the old one, Steve. The new one you made 150 pixels.
Let me see. Back to Finder.
I suppose if I were able to save a larger image and then I can use that sliding button at the bottom there to reduce the size, maybe.
It almost looks like it comes in at the smallest size it can.
Yeah.
And you can make it bigger.
Yeah, and as you can see, it exceeds the boundaries of that disk.
Yep. Let me make sure date modified is today. Oh, but I already have a 150 version from many years ago. Let's try that one. Oh, it's got to be 180 pixels.
Wow.
So 150 is the. So I need a 180 one. So if I go back to preview and change the size to 180 pixels. And then do a save as -180. Now upload the 180 version. No, it's still. You have to make. It looks like you have to make your icon circular already.
Well, except that when it's on, you're looking at the Facebook page, you click on that picture, and then the disk disappears. It becomes the full rectangle.
Yeah.
And all of the material excluded is visible. And for some reason, I was able to do it okay for the present portrait photo.
They probably changed something at their end. Yeah, so it knows it's a big square picture.
Do we have some kind of a chat page that the specialists might have an answer?
No, but if you Google it, you'll find a lot of the other forums that might try to answer.
So probably in Steve's case, he would have to take that apple cider mug and paste it into a larger white background.
And
then make it the 180 pixels. And then it would probably be fine.
Oh. Can I do that into a Word document where I can click on it and then at the edges, at the corners, reduce it that way? And then it'll be a smaller.
You have to do it in a graphic editor, not a text program.
Oh.
So something like Preview or Graphic Converter is a good one for doing that because you can change the.
Yeah, if you did it that way, you'd have to take a screenshot of it, and then it would be maybe a better size for you.
Interesting.
Well, screen size would, yeah, that might work.
Yeah, I don't have any graphic editing experience.
Yeah, Graphic Converter is a pretty good um, free trial program. For it's kind of like Photoshop used to be. Photoshop started out as a graphic converter.
Hmm.
Actually, Apple bought Pixelmator, and that's part of their new. Did we talk about Creator Studio? Um, yeah,
No, you should.
AI-powered image editing tool. So Apple announced their new Creator Studio, which is a bundle of creative apps. Um, so Final Cut Pro, Motion and Compressor for doing video, Logic and MainStage for doing audio, Pixelmator Pro for graphics, and then um, Keynote Pages, Numbers, and Freeform to put, well, to make presentations and spreadsheets and whatnot. They say they're adding new content for Apple Creator Studio subscribers that you don't get with the regular Pages, Keynote, and Numbers. We don't know what that is yet. And so they have $12.99 a month or $129 a year, or 3 months free when you buy an Apple device. So the $12.99 a month is significantly cheaper than if you bought or subscribed it to all of Apple's programs. But oftentimes people are mostly video or mostly video, so that or mostly audio, mostly video, so they don't need to do both. So you may not the subscription may be more than it would be for the other ones. I think each of them are like $5 a month each. Let's see.
Yeah, they're trying to push everything to subscriptions, and I'm a little miffed at them.
You can still buy the programs outright. I think Final Cut and Logic are both $300, something like that.
And then if you buy it outright, it will have an expiration date.
No. In fact, Final Cut has been, in essence, free for like 20 years. If you bought Final Cut Pro when it came out originally, you have never paid for any upgrade in the last 20 years.
Well, what I found when I purchased Office for Mac, it reached the point where I could not upgrade it any further. My computer limited that, but I couldn't go any further with it.
Yeah, that happens. And that's the other end has stopped updating it and wants you to buy the new version.
Yeah.
Fortunately, that's only every 4 or 5 years. So the 2024 version of Office is the current version, which should have been updated by now. I'm sorry, no. It will probably be updated in 28. So it went 16 to 19 to 24. So 16 to 19 was only 3 years, but 19 to 24 was 5 years. So who knows what is what's going to happen in the future. There is a way to see apps. They made a web version of the App Store. Here we are. A web version of the App Store. So you don't have to go into the App Store. So if we go to Final Cut. Yeah, so it's $300. It was down from $2,500. So the whole Apple Creator bundle they're doing now for $13 a month used to be $2,500. And so since Final Cut Pro came out ages ago, there's been no cost for any of the upgrades. But now that they have a subscription version, people are worried that the one-time license version might be discontinued.
Uh-huh. Huh. I also ran into a comparable problem with my New York Times crossword puzzle on my iPhone. New York Times changed its software. My iPhone 8 has iOS 16.7, and New York Times is requiring version 18 or higher. And doesn't seem like there's anything I can do about that.
Keep using the old version.
But I can't use the New York Times. I cannot access it. It gives this big screen that says I've got to have 18, version 18 or higher.
Did you download the new version of the app accidentally?
I don't know. I've been using this other version forever,
Oh, Mac,
as long as they've had it.
iPhone, games, New York Times crossplay,
It's under New York Times Games. It's an app within that.
games and Wordle.
Yeah, there you are, crossword. There we are.
Yeah. And somewhere it says, oh, updated 6 hours ago. Yeah, it requires iOS 18 or later. Usually, usually the old version keeps working. You just don't upgrade.
Well, I'm told that AppleCare, I think, said that I cannot upgrade the my iPhone 8 beyond what I've got.
Right. So you don't upgrade the app, and it usually keeps working. But this probably pulls data from New York Times. So that's probably why it needs an updated version.
18 plus.
And the iPhone 8 is limited to 16. Let's see. The first phone that would do 18 is a 10s.
I'd like to just keep this phone. It's fine in other ways.
Yep. So you use a different crossword game.
Oh, it's not the same. They're the best with Will Shortz, and his clues are just wonderfully witty.
What about, do they have a Mac version? Let's see, where are there other...
I can do the puzzle on my desktop, iMac, but it's not the same. I can print it out, but it's cumbersome. And it doesn't work the same as the touch screen on the iPhone.
Yeah.
I'd like to lie in bed and do it.
How about an iPad?
That way.
It would work on the iPad if you got an iPad with OS 18. Well, maybe. Let's see if the iPad is the same. Yeah, an iPad with OS 18.
Uh-huh. Which I don't have. That's kind of intermediate between iPhone and iMac. So, and I've got the two at the extremes, not the middle. So I don't feel I need the iPad.
iPad 7th gen or later. Yeah, some developers let the old game stay running, but it usually has to be a self-contained game. If the developer stops providing online content or changes the requirements for the online content, that often happens. It was a big issue a few months ago when, probably more than a few months ago now, the Simpsons game, which I've been playing for over 10 years, shut down. And basically you lost everything. You lost all the town you built. You
Mm.
lost any money you had left put into the game. Um, so fortunately, I had already switched to the Family Guy game by then. Apparently, the licensing agreement changed. MP tapped out, shut down. Oh, a whole year ago,
Mm.
after a 12-year run.
Well, of course, the crossword content is new every day, so it's not a closed system.
Yeah. So since it's pulling data from the internet, it has to be a compatible um, device being able to pull that one.
There's no retrofit I can do onto the iPhone that will break through the barrier, is there?
Unlikely. You could jailbreak it, maybe. I'm trying to see. Um, but then you run into other problems. And it likely, OS 18 likely doesn't work because the chip doesn't support it, or it would be too slow to be useful. That's usually when Apple stops supporting older devices. When when it be so slow, they get too many complaints about how slow it is.
Interesting.
Because there is a program for the Mac that does that. Rick, you had done it on one of your Macs, didn't you? To run unsupported OS.
Oh, you're talking about what is it?
Yeah, the name of that.
Open Core Legacy Patcher.
Yeah, Open Core Legacy.
Yep,
it
that
lets
works
you
quite well.
Yeah, because you're not trying it on too old a machine. Eventually, it will get too old and may not work. In fact, I think they said it doesn't work on Apple Silicon at all now, or was that something else? Yeah. So if you're trying to run an OS on a computer that doesn't support it, that can be a problem. Yeah, only Intel. They don't have Apple Silicon yet, or PowerPC if you go back that far.
Yeah, I cannot even do spelling bee. I'll just read you the text of what this says. Update the New York Times Games app. Your app version is out of date and is no longer supported. To continue playing, you'll need to update your app to the latest version. And if I touch the phrase update now, it says requires iOS 18.0 or later. So that applies to all those games that you see displayed on the screen here.
Yep, everything on New York Times.
Be nice if there's a way I can take it off of the iMac and migrate it to the iPhone.
It works the other way. You can take
Yeah.
Apple Silicon apps and run them on your Apple Silicon Mac.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that.
Yeah. Sorry.
Sure.
Don't have better news.
Yeah. Well, I suppose an iPhone 8 is old enough I should consider getting the new phone. I've seen the photographs are incredibly sharper. A friend of mine had the iPhone 16 and took the same pictures I did with the 8, and side by side, the sharpness is incredibly better.
Yeah. You don't have to go all the way to the super new one. You could go to the 16E for $599, or you can go to 11, 12, 13, one of them that aren't so old.
Well, of course, I'd run into the same problem in a few years. It would become outmoded sooner if I get a cheaper version.
Yeah. Generally, you get 8 to 10 years out of a device before it's not supported on the newest software anymore. So and the iPhone 8 came out in 2017. So you got 9 years.
And I'm still using
8 years.
Sonoma, which Sonoma's okay for me. I have resisted upgrading. Maybe I shouldn't have resisted.
Some 14 still supported. So 14, 15, and 26 are currently supported. Apple generally supports the current version and 2 old. So when 27 comes out later this fall, it will drop it to 15, 26, and 27. Yeah, so the 16E for $599. Although, hold off buying phones until at least March, because there's rumors of the 17E coming out, which will probably be $599 and may push the price of the older ones down.
You mean next month?
Yeah.
You said March.
March, yeah, March already. It's next month.
Well, I think it's likely I wouldn't do it before then anyway. So the popular color now is orange?
Cosmic orange, yep. And it only comes on the Pro. So you have to get a Pro if you want cosmic orange.
And the Pro is the high level cost?
Yeah, they start at $9.99, I think. No, $10.99. So yeah, the 16E is $5.99. I always forget the 16 is in there too. For $6.99. The 17 is $7.99. The Air is $9.99, and the Pro is $10.99.
But I don't have to do that by the purchase price all at once. I can tie it into my Verizon monthly payment.
If you go through Verizon, or you can do an Apple monthly payment if you go through Apple.
And probably the monthly cost for the phone would be identical either way.
Don't know. Apple at least tells you the monthly cost of the phone. Well, Apple does 0% financing, but many of the carriers have deals. I think Verizon has a free 17 Pro. What are the 0% financing, but 36 months? So it's $10.99 divided by 36, $30 a month for the phone. Yeah, $30.55 a month for the phone.
That's through Verizon.
Through Verizon, yeah.
And what would that be through Apple?
Let's go back and look. iPhone 17 Pro. 45 for 24 months. So it's the same price, 0% financing. Just Apple is 2 years and Verizon is 3 years. So a side effect of that is you can't change your phone for 3 years if you go with Verizon.
Well,
Or
that's okay.
many carriers have we'll buy out your current plan. If you go to our carrier.
So if I were to do it through Apple, it's $15 a month more for those 2 years.
But 12 months less time, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's on the 17 Pro. You can get other phones at a lower cost.
And through MacAv, it's also that 45 per month.
No, it's flat full price. We can't do monthly.
Oh, I see. I didn't know if you tied into Apple on that plan. Okay.
No. We have to pay. We have to buy them at full price. They don't even give us a discount.
Oh gosh. You say full price, not even a wholesale price?
Yep.
Wow. So there's no profit for you on selling phones.
Not on the phone. We do it on the service. So to transfer all your data, we have a transfer service.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is.
So the Verizon plan for 36 months ends up the same total dollars as the Apple at $45 for 24 months.
Right. It looks like Verizon has other phones available too at a lower price for older phones.
Well, I did not want to start on an iPhone until the AT&T exclusivity was over because I wanted to go with Verizon. So
Yeah.
that's how I started. That's how long ago it was.
Yep.
Well, thank you for all of that explanation. That helps guide me a lot.
No
Doug,
problem.
what is the AT&T exclusivity? Because I have AT&T.
When the
Well-
when the iPhone first came out in 2007, it was only available on Singular Wireless because that was a smaller company, and Apple was able to convince them to make the changes in the network they wanted. Biggest one was visual voicemail, where you could actually see a transcript of your voicemail on screen. So that had to be done at the back end. And so AT&T ended up buying Singular. So from 2007 till 2011, it was only available on AT&T. Since 2011, it's been available on all the carriers.
I thought that was a deal that Steve Jobs made in order to expand the market of for the iPhone by it was the interplay with AT&T on that. If AT&T was offering it, he thought that it was a bigger market for the iPhone. Is that right?
Well, it wasn't AT&T, it was Singular.
Singular. Well, okay.
Yeah, Singular with a C.
Right.
And so, so he was saying that Singular could increase their market share, but Apple was an unknown phone developer,
Right.
and nobody knew if it would work, if it would sell, and the company had to make back-end changes to their hardware, and so it was risky on both companies' moves, but it turned out to be amazingly beneficial to AT&T. Although we did read when it first came out, there was an unlimited data plan which unlimited data at the time was unheard of, and one of the CEOs of AT&T said that was the worst decision they'd ever allowed to stand because they lost a lot of money on it. So in the early days of cell phones, going back even farther, you paid by the minute and you paid by the text message because that's all they did. And then companies started bundling minutes. So instead of paying 10 cents a minute, you paid $50 a month for 500 minutes. And then when the iPhone came out and phones started doing more internet stuff, all the services changed to be free minutes, free text messages, and you pay by the gig for internet.
And when I started, I recall that I had a maximum number of minutes per month.
Yep. And if you went over that, the overage charges were exorbitant, so you would try to hope to get up to the next tier plan.
And of course, BlackBerry did not believe that a flat screen was viable. They thought that people needed that sensory haptic input.
Yeah. And then what became known as the candy bar phone, like a rectangle of phone.
Oh.
Was how phones always were for years before then.
Yeah.
Until Apple came out with the glass multi-touch. There were actually glass multi-touch phones before then, but smaller companies and nobody heard of them before, and they eventually died.
What do you think of the glass on the latest iPhone?
Each generation is harder and more resilient than the last. The problem with glass is you can make it flexible, or you can make it crack resistant. Making it both is very difficult. Charlie, you had a question?
Yeah, you just brought something to mind. You mentioned Blackberries. I never had one, didn't know anything about them. But I just finished reading a Louise Penny mystery that's set in the woods of Quebec out in the sticks. And They don't have cell connection, but they have BlackBerry connection somehow. How did that work?
BlackBerry had their own servers and their own radios. Um, and so it was very common for a company to buy a BlackBerry server to put in their company so that all of their employees could communicate. So before that, we might use walkie-talkies. And even before that, it was pagers, which used radios. So BlackBerry was kind of similar to a pager in the very early days, which used a
Okay.
radio repeater, which travels longer than and different technology than cell towers.
Okay, so because it was that kind of technology, it's conceivable that it would reach farther out into the boonies than the cell
Yeah,
would.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Was it like the shortwave part of the spectrum that would go longer distances?
I don't remember. It may say somewhere in here. And was it Sprint that had the walkie-talkie mode on their first phones that used the different radios?
I don't
And now
know.
your watch has a walkie-talkie mode on it, so you can call anyone with an Apple ID on your watch.
I recall Garmin had, when I once bought a pair of walkie-talkies, I believe the brand was Garmin, that do
And
GPS these days.
Mega doesn't say. Rick, you got a question?
Actually, Carol had a question.
Okay.
It's about her watch and being able to see how the battery's doing on it. I think she uses her phone or something to check that, but I've never done it. So if you could talk with her about that, that would be great.
Okay. All I was trying to do was, it seemed like I ran out of battery faster than I thought I should have. And I wondered which apps might be causing that to happen, but I couldn't figure out how to see which apps are using how much battery on the watch.
Yeah, so on the watch itself, settings, battery, health. Where's it there? Nope. I can't bend my wrist that way. That shows you your current charge, and it shows you your maximum capacity, but it doesn't show you the actual apps.
Yeah, and like when I go online, maybe it's other versions of the watch that you can actually see which apps are.
I know the phone allows you to do it. Maybe it's in the watch app on the phone.
Well, I tried that and I didn't see any, list of apps being used. Let me look on it.
Google AI says you install an app, like Battery Life or Battery Grapher.
Oh, okay. A separate one.
Watch. Which app's using power? Check the watch app on your phone under battery.
Yeah, that's what I was doing. I've got the watch app open.
Yeah.
And
I've got all watches open.
my watch.
Let's see.
Let's see there.
Yeah, I don't see a battery option. So that was a case of the AI making up
Yeah.
a feature that exists on the phone. Or maybe it did used to do it and doesn't anymore. That doesn't make sense. So that's 2017. This one's from 2025.
Watch app. Tap battery. There is no battery to tap.
And they go back. So those are older watches. is this one of those AI generated?
Yeah.
Yeah. Watches. Tap the eye. No. Pair, unpair, no. Faces, app view. How about general? General battery? No. No. So it looks like that feature doesn't exist anymore.
I suspect some of the issue I have is that I use it for like walking indoors and then I'm looking at the watch frequently to see how far I've gone.
Yep.
And that's probably using a lot of battery to do the check.
General usage battery. That doesn't
I would
exist
say that's
either.
probably true, sweetie. Every time you check it, it turns on that display, and that's
Yeah,
what drains it.
and I tend to do that when I'm inside. If I'm walking outside, I don't
Yeah.
keep checking it over and over again the way I do when I'm inside.
Yeah.
Mm.
Enable low power mode to make it last longer.
Yeah, that's what ends up happening is it, you have to turn it to low power mode
Yeah.
every time. I guess I should put it in low power mode earlier.
When you start, yeah. Like we do that when we go to like an air show. Beginning of the day, we put all our phones and watches into low power mode, and then you can take pictures all day long.
Okay.
Because a lot of the air shows you're outside of cell range anyway. Yeah, so apparently it used to be there and isn't anymore.
Yeah. Okay, so it's not just me.
Yeah. Check battery health and usage. Okay. Battery level. List charge. Check your battery health.
I was able to check the health, and then it went to the 81%,
Yeah.
which is,
View
if you
usage.
go online, a lot of people say that it's never going to go below 81% because
It's got to be 80% or lower before Apple will replace it under warranty or Apple Care.
Yeah.
So here is Apple's tech note. Check watch health and usage. View usage history. But nowhere in here does it have where the history is. Here, the battery screen shows a graph is recent history of charge. Okay, so you can just see the history over time, but not the apps that are using that.
Yeah, so it's just like a graph, and it'll show you.
Yeah. So I can see when I took it off the charger, and it's been draining slowly since then.
Yeah.
Mine's at 80%. What is mine? A 5, I think. Now, it's possible that if I run a diagnostic test, it would work. It would show you a history. I wonder. Probably not. No, I gotta use Safari. Well, any other questions while I'm trying to research this? Or are we about done for the night?
Is there anything we need to do with the nominating committee, Charlie?
Oh, we should mention there is one, and if anyone has any nominations.
Right. And I mean, what it's going to boil down to is that we're going to have pretty much the same candidates for the same offices, except for Ken. And at some point, Steve will have to send out the tentative ballot before the March meeting next month. So I'm not sure when that'll be, but that's the gist of it. Very low key election.
Alrighty then.
I've been getting a drop-down menu that keeps saying that there's not enough memory, and for me to delete different things, and I delete them one at a time, and it still keeps coming down. And I don't know why it didn't come down before if I've deleted various things.
Deleting has nothing to do with memory.
Well,
So that message may be wrong or fake.
Are you saying deleting has to do with storage?
Yes.
I think so.
No,
So does it say out of memory or out of storage?
I don't recall.
Do you know where it's coming from?
I could not tell. And, you know, I didn't really want to delete Chrome, for example.
Yeah, deleting apps has nothing to do with memory. So if you do a get info on your hard drive, it will tell you how much your storage available is.
So it was some kind of a spam?
Could have been.
Either that or you're running too many applications at the same time.
Yeah, if you're
I
running,
don't see a
if
message.
you're running too many apps and you're getting an out of memory message, you have to quit apps.
Okay, it did give a number for the megabytes or whatever. So yeah, no matter what I deleted, it would still pop up and or drop down rather. And it just seemed that if I delete 50 megabytes, why didn't that lower the threshold?
Because deleting storage has nothing to do with freeing RAM.
So what's the point of that drop down then?
You're misunderstanding it. You need,
Well, that's why I asked.
you need to quit open programs to free up memory.
Okay.
Deleting apps frees up storage.
And it has nothing to do with the number of open tabs.
Yes, every open tab uses memory.
Okay, that's probably my problem. I've got well over 100 open tabs.
And
Okay.
Chrome is a memory hog.
I'll
There you
start
go.
deleting those.
So it probably did say memory and it didn't say storage.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Bob, did you have a question? Or did we lose Bob?
I think he was just saying that they were going to sign off.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm guessing that.
Yeah.
All right. Now I'm at a place so I can run the diagnostics on my watch. Aha. Aha! G99ZN43. Done. Okay, yes. Run diagnostics. Battery usage. Okay. All right. Diagnostic mode. It's always so complicated. Agree. I agree. Yes. Watch. Running.
Why they're called complications.
Yes. Yeah, did you see the new, there's a new complication, a new watch face, with like a zillion complications on it. Apple.
I can barely read the ones I have on it now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it came with, yeah, there's one. So you got 4 quadrants, there's 3 dials, there's 3 levers, there's a second lever down.
You really need to get a big watch face.
Yeah.
Put more stuff on it.
Let's see if Apple
Either that or just strap your iPhone to your wrist.
Yeah.
Watch. Oh, I think they released some Valentine's faces too. Yeah, there's one of the multiple complications with a zillion things on it. So that's, yeah, that's what an ultra watch is supposed to look like, with a zillion complications. Alright, test is still running. Everyone got plans for Valentine's Day? Remember it's Valentine's Day on Saturday?
Right after Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
And next week is Shirley's birthday. Alright, battery usage. Nope, doesn't tell me the apps, just how much the battery was used. I have recharged my watch 1,328 times.
Wow.
Well, alright, I guess we can't see anymore where the usage in history was. I wonder, is that, do I have that Apple page still up? And health, there we go, health and usage. So if we go back, oh, see, the manual only goes back one version. And a history of battery charge, not a history of the apps. So maybe in the older Apple Watch manuals it was there. But that doesn't make sense that Apple would, remove that feature. Especially because now on the Mac, right in the battery menu, you get a shaming menu. It shames you on how many what apps are using significant energy. So of course, Chrome and my streaming program are using significant energy. Coincidentally, that's about the only 2 major programs I'm running.
You say it's under battery, Steve?
In the battery menu, in the menu bar.
Ah, gotcha. Well,
And
that's interesting.
Yeah, each Chrome tab spawns a new process, and each process uses its own memory.
So I've gone to settings, to battery. Is there supposed to be a battery menu I'm not seeing?
The menu is in the menu bar.
Yeah.
And you turn it on and off in probably Control Center or
So,
Desktop and Dock.
in other words, what I have up in the menu bar now says system settings, right?
At the far right, near the clock.
Near the clock. Oh my God. Oh, gotcha. Okay.
In the menu bar, system settings, you turn the battery on or off, and any other menu bar option it can manage.
So there's the little icon that shows charge level and whether it's charging.
Yep. Yeah.
All right, down at the bottom it says using significant energy, Safari.
Yep.
Okay.
And if you want to
Gotcha.
see more, you can go to Activity Monitor, and it will show you all the energy that each running program is using.
Is that an app down on the dock?
Probably not. It would be in the Utilities folder. I have it in my dock because I use it all the time.
So go through the Finder.
Yep, go to the Finder,
Utilities.
Applications, and Utilities. Window, Activity Monitor. So that can show you CPU usage, memory usage, energy usage, disk usage for all your apps.
All right. I'm an ignoramus here, so I've opened a Finder window, and I've gone to a folder that says Applications.
Yep, and then go to Utilities.
Maybe I shouldn't have gone to that folder. Maybe I should have gone, to the thing on the left side where you click on Applications. Then you go down.
You might have gone to your home applications and not system applications.
It could be Utilities
and Activity Monitor.
There it is, right at the top, and it looks like my electrocardiogram. It's got one big beat, and then it just kind of goes up and down a little bit.
Yeah, the icon in the dock will show you the usages, and you can, if you control click on that, you can change what the dock icon monitors.
Okay now. I have that Activity Monitor open through Finder, yada yada. I would expect that possibly an icon would show up temporarily down in the dock.
Yes.
I don't see one.
It would be a vertical bar. Let me see what the default icon is. I don't know.
I mean, I'm not going to sweat.
Yeah, you can show your CPU usage, your history in the dock icon.
I'm not going to.
Yeah, if you right click on the dock application icon, what does it look like by itself?
There's
an EKG, a heartbeat icon.
Maybe.
Are you seeing this Activity Monitor window?
No. I have a Finder window open. Activity Monitor is at the top of it, highlighted. Then to the right of that, it says Activity Monitor, and it shows that heartbeat thing or whatever.
Yeah, double click it to open it.
Alrighty. Okay, it just filled in a bunch of stuff.
Yeah,
Is it listed?
You should get a list like this that lists the things that are running.
Right. Starting with the highest energy impact at the top and going down to Zilt.
And there's buttons at the top to let you switch between CPU and memory and energy.
Okay. Thank you.
And now in the dock, you'll see that Activity Monitor icon.
There's the bar.
Yep. And yeah, you can control click on that and choose what you want the dock icon to show. CPU or network or disk.
It doesn't have the choice of options is keep in dock. All right, I'll throw that in the keep in dock. I just cleared a couple things out recently, so there's almost enough room for them. All right.
Yeah,
Thank you.
The more icons you put in your dock, the smaller it gets.
That's the truth.
Yep. Alrighty.
Okay.
Let's
thank you so much.
Call it a night. What do we still have left? We have 5 people left. That's pretty good.
I appreciate always learning so much from you.
Yes, thank you, Steve.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yep.
See you next week.
If you need to get more of me, you can listen on Saturday to Sound Bites from 12 to 2 on Member Supported Jazz 90.1.
Steve, tell Shirley to get better, okay?
Yes, tell her
I
she
will.
gets better.
Yep. Hopefully she'll be better, but yeah, should be. Yeah, it hit me Saturday night, and I'm pretty fine today. Yesterday was a little iffy, but today's okay.
Good.
All right. Good night, all.
Good night.